Now you're good. All right, I'd like to open up our city council meeting for Monday, May sixth, 2024. Could we please stand for the pledge of allegiance and remain standing for the invocation? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please prepare yourself as you see fit for our invocation. Most gracious and heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you this day to say thank you, O Father God. We thank you for all the blessings that you give us, O Lord. We ask that you look over each and every one of us, O Father God, and keep us in your arms, O Lord. Lord, we ask that you watch over and bless our Chief of Police, Perez. He lost his mother this morning, O Father God. And we ask that you keep their family in your arms and wish them the condolences of the loss of such a loved one. Lord, as we start this city council, we ask that things are done decent and in order. This is our prayer in your darling son Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Can we get a roll call?
Alderman Jackson.
Present.
Alderman Coleman. Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Smith. Alderman Murphy. Present. Alderman January.
Present.
All right, first order of business is that we have Alderman Coleman that wishes to come in via Zoom. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is it moved by Alderman Jackson, second by Alderman Smith, that Alderman Coleman be brought in by Zoom? Are there any questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Jackson.
Aye.
Alderman Coleman. Oh, sorry. Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy. Aye. Alderman January.
Aye.
Motion carried. Alderman Coleman, you are now allowed in by Zoom. Omnibus vote agenda.
Mayor Rockingham,
Alderman Allen.
I make a motion that we approve the omnibus vote agenda 5-1 through 5-8 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Evans, that the omnibus vote agenda be passed as presented. Are there questions on the omnibus vote agenda? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Coleman.
Aye.
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy. Aye. Alderman January.
No.
Alderman Jackson.
Aye.
The motion carried. Public comment. What do we have under public comment today?
Joelle Williams, Habitat for Humanity.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and speak with you today. My name is Joel Williams. I'm the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity Lake County. I'm here to share the good news that we are going to be building 3 homes in North Chicago this year. We're very excited about this. We have 2 homes that are going to be coming up as part of AbbVie's Week of Possibilities, as they call it, where AbbVie brings out many volunteers for a 2-week period. And we are going to be building those homes in Alderman Jackson's ward at 1014 Lincoln and 1016 Wadsworth. These are going to be single-family homes. These are going to be owned by residents of North Chicago that are going to become homeowners. This is something that Habitat does. We like to say that we're a hand up, not a handout. These are people who are going to be helping work alongside us to build the homes, but that are ultimately going to be purchasing them and are going to have a mortgage and are going to become homeowners. So we're very excited about those 2 homes that are going to be coming up in June. They won't be finished in that 2-week period of June, but we're going to get started along with the folks at AbbVie. So we're really excited about that. The other home is going to be at 1428 Hervey. We're excited about this. This has been a lot that we've been working with staff at the city for a while to try and get something on. And so we've also partnered with Lake County to be able to use some of their federal funds to be able to build a home there. Federal funds have a few more strings attached to it, so it might take a little bit longer, but we do hope to break some ground on that sometime this fall so that we can get that completed soon as well. Also, just wanted to remind everybody that we have been working in North Chicago with our Critical Home Repair Program. That is a program that is designed for people who are already in homes that they own, and we just do some repairs to them. So we have some funds that we were able to partner with, again, the county to be able to get that. We're looking for more funding to do that because we know there's a lot of demand to be able to do repairs such as a roof repair. Sometimes there's accessibility concerns within the house, anything that we can do in order to make the house more livable and more decent for the person living there. So we're really excited. We focused only on North Chicago for that right now. We're going to be expanding that a little bit in the future, but we will continue to provide that needed service in North Chicago. But again, this was just an opportunity to introduce myself and introduce this exciting project that we've got coming up. It is again during the Week of Possibilities, which is the middle of June through it's actually 2 weeks. I don't know why they call it the Week of Possibilities. But we'd love to be able to see any of you out there to meet some of the volunteers, meet the potential homeowners, and be a part of this. We're really excited about it. I'll send more information as we get to it, but we'll be starting in the middle of June at 1014 Lincoln and 1016 Wadsworth. So again, I just thank you for your time and look forward to working more in the city of North Chicago.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Phyllis Spencer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I live at 1532 Grove Avenue in North Chicago. My daughter purchased a home there last year, no, in 2022. And she wasn't able to move directly in. There were some problems. And so we had to upgrade some things and we didn't move in until January. So she bought it in July and we couldn't move in until January. There were some things that came up with parking. My son moved in from South Carolina and he received 2 or 3 parking tickets. And I think that's kind of unfair. We had no clue of the ordinance. There's nothing written in stone, nothing visible, because we would honor that, but it was nothing that we knew. And to be hit with that. And then, so we went to the building zone department and we asked, well, can we do something with the back of the house? We have a fairly large backyard, and if we can open that up so that maybe we can park some cars there. But the ordinance is they don't allow 2 driveways. So there's 3 adults and I have a business and I can't park the business car. 3 cars can go in the garage and 2 in the driveway, but then we gotta, whoever gets there first. Or I'll walk all the way to my niece's house to park my business car. So the problem is there's so many of these laws and it's discouraging because I'm very proud of my daughter for buying a home. And I know that North Chicagoans and you as officials, you want to keep us putting into the city, and we take very good care of our lawn. I just find it discouraging that we cannot have accessibility to extra parking, you know, and get fined for that. So what is your take on that? Why do you have it that way? Why can't we expand our driveway or make one in the back, or all these doors are slammed in our face?
Well, Ms. Spencer, let me just say, I don't know how closely you have been working with our Economic Development Department in regards to this. And I don't know, you said it was on Greenfield?
No,
It was on
Grove.
15th Grove, I'm
Grove.
sorry,
Grove Avenue.
on Grove. And, I don't know what your situation is at the residence, but we do have ordinance. It's, there's no parking on the street after 2 o'clock because then, there's been times where cars will be abandoned or, and just stays on the street. So we do have, regulations and ordinances and, and wherever you place a car, it has to be on a solid surface. You just can't park it in the grass. So I mean, my best thing would say is try to work with our Economic Development Department, Mr. Taylor Wagner, and see if there's something we can do to try to work with you. The other concern is naturally, there's times when there's, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars to a family. I mean, we just, you've got to be able to, at some point, you just can't, we just can't have cars everywhere on a property. So, but again, I asked you to work with Taylor. Taylor, have you had an opportunity to speak with her yet?
Thank you.
And let's see what we can do to work with you.
Okay. Well, can you put up a sign to say ordinance? Because I've seen that in other cities. Where's an ordinance, no parking at such and such a time? We don't have that coming off of 16th.
It actually, we do have ordinances and it's at the interests of the city. So we can't place them throughout the whole city. But in the interests of our city, we have that ordinance actually is stated in there.
Yeah, so if there's a rule that applies everywhere and is not geographically specific, we don't have to put signs on every street. We just put it at the entryway to the city. So
Mm.
that's where the sign's located.
So that's where that sign or that ordinance will be displayed at.
Okay, and I have one more issue. I have breathing problems and I didn't know that either. Thank you.
Yes, we do have
So
a
I'm
3
over
minute.
my 3 minute.
When you heard the beep, it
No.
was over.
What I would just like to say, what I would like to say, in reference to what you said, has anyone talked to you about the tickets that you have received already, or did you just go ahead and pay them? I said, did she? I was asking, did she?
And Ms. Spencer, again, please come back. You can speak in my office. My chief of staff, Greg, is there also for, available for you.
Mrs.
Is there anyone else?
David Hood.
Good evening, council. I'm David Hood, citizen. I come to you today, Mr. Mayor, council. I don't know how to ask this question, but I'll say it frankly. When you get a contractor, do you check their backgrounds? Well, maybe for this instance, the gentleman that you contracted out, Bob Miller, he was recently at Algonquin. He lost an election because of mismanagement of money, for overspending, for fears for his family. Now, this right here was brought to my attention a while ago. So I just sat on it for a minute. He brought his family into Algonquin. He's been there for like 20 years. Whole family got $4,000, $400,000 off of taxpayers' money. Now, here we are here in North Chicago, and you know that we have situations that deal with money. Now we bring someone in that has this on their background. But being here from North Chicago, I have seen people that work here lose their job for less than that. So my question is, when you have these contractors and they have this in their background, how do you guys handle this? That is a question. Because I feel as the citizen of North Chicago that this man should not be here getting hundreds of thousands of dollars when he's known for spending money fiercely. Just buying things, and you work for the public works, so we losing workers at public works, but we buying equipment. I'm just asking the council to show us a little accountability, some little leadership. I want to say this, and I know for sure that many of you, once you find out about this, will do the right thing. I think the man should be fired. That's my personal opinion. He should not be getting money for the city of North Chicago. And he has this on his background. He may not have been found guilty, but we know how they go. I've seen people lose their job here for less than that. So thank you, Council, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? That's it? All right. Regular agenda, 7-1, consideration approval of GP liquor license, gaming parlor at 1611 Audrey Nixon Boulevard.
Mayor Rakim,
Alderman Evans,
I would like to approve the gaming parlor at 1611 Audrey Nixon Boulevard as presented. Second.
been moved by Alderman Evans, second by Alderman Allen, that 7-1 be passed as presented. Are there questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Evans,
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman January,
No.
Alderman Jackson,
No.
Alderman Coleman.
Uh, quick question. Is this 1611, is this, the gentleman that came up and spoke with us last time? I want to make sure we're on the right page.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Hodge,
Yes.
aye.
Motion carried. 7-2, consideration and approval, city bills.
Mayor Rockingham,
Alderman Allen,
make a motion to approve this, pay the city bills. And then we have a special one and special two, but the total with all three bills was $1,782,383.06 when it come available.
Second.
it's been moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Evans, that the city bills be paid as presented. Are there questions on the bills? Alderman January.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And there she is.
Good evening, Alderman.
Hi, Twanda, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and yourself?
Good, good, it's Monday. My questions. Do we have sufficient funds to pay this bill run? And when will the checks be cut and sent?
We do have sufficient funds to cover the bill run. The checks will be cut tomorrow and mailed out on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. And then also, I think it's the Thursday?
Yes,
For the end of business day, the amount that is in the water.
water fund. Okay, so before bills are cut, the amount in the water fund is $8,883,687.94.
Okay, and then I do have an additional question.
Mhm.
Of that 8.8 million, how much of that is liquid and how much of that is locked up in investments?
Investments. I don't have that number right off for you, but I can give you that information.
Okay, please do.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Aye.
Alderman Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Murphy. Alderman January,
No.
Alderman Jackson,
Aye.
Alderman Coleman,
No,
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Motion carried. Miscellaneous business, anything under miscellaneous?
Mayor Rakim,
Alderman Evans.
first of all, I would like to congratulate you on getting Crazy Howard McGee to Community Day.
Thank you.
I think that's really cool, you know. It's something that our city deserves, and not just him, but I'm sure it's gonna be other entertainment coming down to our city.
We're working on it.
And secondly, I'm gonna address something that was brought here just a few minutes ago, because I sit on the committee chair for the Public Works. So by that being brought up to us about an individual that's not been convicted of anything, but has been said about him, doesn't mean it's true. But what the city of North Chicago have done is that we as a city have had people to work for our city, mismanaged stuff, kept them on payroll, took them off payroll because they couldn't continue to work for us. So before you open up that door about people that works for our city, be careful. Cause the same thing could come after you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman, appreciate that. Anyone else? Yes, Mayor. Alderman Jackson.
I just want to let everyone know that the first ward will have a ward meeting. Oh, yeah, I know, Carl. We'll have a ward meeting on June first, Saturday, June first, at the Police Resource Center on 10th Street. And all the department heads, I believe, will be there, and Your Honor, I believe, will be there, and we'll hopefully address some of the issues. The time will be 10 o'clock to noon, light refreshments. Okay, so light refreshments, so hopefully everyone that can make it will make it, and not only just for the ward meeting, but just to see the renovation of the resource center there for the police department and our guests, so, yes, so, thank you.
All right, Alderman January.
Yes,
I know.
Assistant Chief Blunt, maybe you might wanna. I have a question for the police department. Yes, thank you. With me driving around home to home now, I've gone through our roundabout here in North Chicago on Dugdale and Audrey Nixon.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm very concerned. I've been nearly hit 5 times. People that are going into that roundabout are not knowing how to manage that. And especially those cars coming eastbound on Andrea Nixon. There's like 10 cars and they just keep flying through, not realizing that there's a car in the turnabout already.
Yes, ma'am.
So something to look into. The other thing is, I know you won't have the answer tonight, but I think the alderman, now hearing this, would like to know how many accidents have we had at that turnabout? And if there has also been any deaths from that turnabout.
Yes, ma'am. I'll give you the information.
Okay. And maybe have the police go and watch, because technically, when you get to that stop sign or that yield sign, you have to treat it like a 4-way.
Yes, ma'am.
And nobody's doing that there. It's really dangerous.
We can increase the patrols, and we can also do an informational bulletin out regarding how to navigate those kind of crossings.
And maybe can we put something on the website?
That's what he's saying.
Oh,
Yes, we'll do
on
an
the
informational
website,
campaign with
like a video on how to do the
How to maneuver
roundabouts.
through a roundabout. Sure.
I'll see if there's any additional signage that can be provided by the county, or see if they can, information that leading up to that, to slow down or to look out for this kind of crossing.
Yeah,
So
it's bad.
I'll give you the information right away, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anyone else?
Mayor.
Alderman Smith.
I would just like to say, to go on the record to say, North Chicago is doing some great things. We were just recognized as in the top 10 cities to start a business. So if
Number
you're
2.
on, say again,
We were number 2.
I want to get it right. I know it's in the top 10. Okay,
Number 2.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We were rated number 2 city in Illinois to have a business. So if you're an entrepreneur thinking about being a business person, this is a great opportunity, a great place. North Chicago is doing a lot of next level things. So North Chicago, let's be a part of that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Chief of Staff Jackson, would you like to come up?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, 2 things for you. I provided each of you with a copy of a recap regarding our most recent trip to Springfield, the legislative issues we addressed with our legislators, as well as the funding requests we sought. As a side, we've submitted and taken to the next level two congressional funding project funding requests. One for the repair of the lead service lines and repaving of Broadway, That got moved to the next level, and then communications equipment for our public safety department. So one other thing I'd like to bring up is one of the things I've been aggressive with my 8 months here in the city is to take opportunities where we have issues related to code enforcement, appearance, conditions of buildings, and move our staff towards those facilities to seek compliance over penalty first and foremost, but no matter what, to make sure we're working in our community has a safe environment to live and work in. That being said, we're putting together what we're calling Project Commonwealth. We have 49 units in the Commonwealth Avenue area. We are going to set a team to begin conducting building and code inspections in that area simply because of the condition of some of those buildings, and we want to make sure it's a safe working environment for those employees. I've had discussion with the ward alderman on this already, and we'll be presenting something to the city council to give you a sense of how we're proceeding and taking that portion of our city and bringing it up to code. So.
Also, besides for Commonwealth, we will maybe also looking into the area behind Dunkin' Donuts. We want to make sure all that area is up to code also. So as we look at bringing on this code enforcer, just for him to, or that person to focus on those two areas.
That's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Coleman.
Yeah, is there any way we can maybe consider the downtown? I know it's not that bad as far as the other areas, but I know that there are a few cold things that we could possibly do on Sheridan Road to make it look a little better when the cars drive by.
Well, this, Alderman Coleman, this is strictly code enforcement in regards to the building and making sure the buildings are up to code, and then if there's anything that needs to go in regards to, I guess, our adjudication court in that respect. But I mean, we can look at some of these buildings there to see if they are in compliance.
Perfect. Because I know there are some businesses that have tried to move in or even have moved in, and they've invested a lot of time and money into those buildings, and then come in later and find out that there were some code violations that had been there for a while. Actually, as you know, I occupied one of those buildings on Sheridan Road, and that kind of happened to me. That there were outstanding code violations that had not been followed up with. So if we can kind of get those buildings ready in the first phase, bring them up to code. So in the second phase, when we start bringing the businesses up, then the new business owners, they don't have to face all of these old code violations. I guess that's what I was trying to say, but thank you for your time.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, Alderman, we'll take a look at that. There. Alderman Smith.
The street cleaners, the street sweeper, is it the route include Sheridan Road?
I don't think they include Sheridan Road on, because
Right.
Sheridan Road is a county or state road. Do they? Okay.
Okay, the reason why I asked, because I drove by there a couple of days ago and we got leaves from last fall all up on the curb.
The only reason why they can't do Sheridan Road is they don't come early enough. By the time they get down Sheridan Road in that area, cars are already parked there.
Can we do something about that? Because again, this is our downtown, it's a hot mess.
I mean, I can schedule them to come earlier.
Between that 2 and 5 o'clock hour.
Correct.
And then since you're up here, other question would be, we had talked about who's gonna be responsible for the sidewalk, the curb to the curb, the sidewalk to the building, the owners, the city, because again, this is our downtown and it's a mess.
That's their businesses.
So is this the owner or the business?
Either one. I mean, who you guys want to hold responsible?
That's my question.
So the owners.
The owner. So then again, can we put some heat up on the owners to be responsible for keeping our city clean? That's their that's their building, then they need to be responsible for keeping that area clean. And then if not, we need to give them citations. I'd be nice, give them a letter first, but we need to follow up with it.
I agree.
I'll take that. Certainly,
Tag team.
Tag team.
so I'll be the property owner that can ultimately be liable for any violations occurring on their property. We did do some outreach earlier this year because that same issue was brought up earlier. I think it was maybe February, sometime around then. We had code enforcement go business, or building by building, knocking on doors, following up with some phone calls as well. We did have a good response out of that. We did see that a lot of it was cleaned up after that. But as this issue is coming up again, apparently, we need to do more recurring outreach or perhaps more stern outreach about the repercussions that could be if they do not maintain their property.
So with that first sweep, what happened? I mean, do we just give them a letter? What was the action taking place?
Like with most of our enforcement action, we try to work with them. So say, hey, this was identified as an issue over there at the property. Can you take care of this in a timely manner? Like, what's your plan of action to remedy this issue? Kind of have that dialogue first. If that's not going anywhere with that individual who owns the property, maybe sending them a letter, field correction notice, specifying the violation that's observed on the property. With that particular matter, I don't believe we resorted to any field correction notices or violations.
And again, like you said, January, this is May. And no shade on you, but we need to follow up with that, because if not, they're gonna keep doing the same old thing over and over, because it's a problem.
Yeah, I could certainly put that item back on the radar. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of recurring types of violations throughout the city on a whole range of different topics. And so it is difficult to just continually stop by on every violation.
I hear what you're saying about being difficult, and I'm just putting it out there. We just renewed, me being a business owner myself, our license. So if we consequent them, they get a fine, then if they don't take care of their fine, then they can't get their license renewed. But I'm saying we have to put some pressure and hold these business owners responsible.
The fine will ultimately be to the property owner though, and that's one of the items that's an issue there. So the fine is assessed to the property owner, so we don't have that mechanism of business license renewal going after them.
I thought you said it was their responsibility.
The property owner,
Right.
right, but the business license is issued to the tenant occupant.
Okay, right, okay. But again, there still has to be some weight put on to these business owners on their responsibility of taking care of the place.
And a lot of times that's educating the property owner, that, hey, if you have a tenant who's not maintaining the property, and depending on your lease situation, that may ultimately result in a violation notice to you, which could result in a penalty, monetary penalty. So, we can follow up again, and make it a more stern kind of violation notice.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Coleman.
Yes, to piggyback off of Alderman Smith, I know the business owners are ultimately responsible, like for the water bill. I'm sorry, the owner is responsible like for the water bills ultimately. But, would it be helpful if we put some language into an ordinance in which we can actually fine the business owner for maybe like trash being in front or of the store that is directly attached to that business license?
I'm gonna throw this to you.
And that's my question. Can we apply pressure to both the business owner and also the tenant in the business?
The city can apply pressure to both the tenant and the landlord, but preference is to put the pressure on the landlord because the landlord owns the property. And if we have to end up putting a judgment lien on the property, we have to give notice to the owner and give them an opportunity to cure the problem. If we don't continue to keep the landlord involved and give them notice, it's harder to enforce a judgment against them. And so that's why we always include the owner as the primary party that we enforce the ordinances against.
Some of these owners on Sheridan Road, they're nowhere around and they really let their businesses run down. I mean, let the buildings run down. They're not really around. They're renting it out to tenants, and the tenants are the ones that's kind of making a mess of things. And the landlords are kind of collecting the money. And I guess, I was trying to come up with a solution to apply pressure to the tenants as well, maybe not with so much a lien against the property, but maybe, $100, put some teeth into something, maybe $100 fine here or there that they can pay, the tenant can actually pay when he goes to renew his license. But I know we wouldn't be able to put a judgment on those type of things, but could we possibly attach it to their business license and not attach it to the lien on the property if we had that type of verbiage in our ordinance? It's a question. I don't know the answer to it.
The city has authority to cite the tenant for the violation also. But if they don't pay the fine and they go out of business and they leave, there's no way to enforce that fine.
Correct. Correct.
So.
Correct. But for the long-term tenants, like maybe the liquor store or some of the tenants we've had issues with as far as trash and stuff constantly being done, those type of tenants, they might react to, maybe a fine. I don't know how it would
Alderman?
work. Go ahead.
Alderman, I
Yes.
do want to refer the council to section 14.6.1 of the city code. 14.6.1 says the city has no obligation to issue any permits or licenses to anyone who is indebted to the city.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. I think everybody's on the same page. I think you answered my question pretty clear. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, hearing none, I do want to again pass on our condolences to our Chief of Police, Lazaro Perez, in the loss of his mom this morning. He will probably be out for some time, or try to make arrangements. So just want to let you know, please direct some of your concerns, if you do have any, to Assistant Chief Lund. And also, she's not here, but I wanted to wish Liz Black, she had a birthday last week, so I wanted to wish a happy birthday to her also. So those are a couple of things that are going on here at City Hall. So with that, we are going into executive session 9-1 on 5 ILCS 122 C11 pending litigation. Could I get a motion?
So move.
Could I, and a second? Been moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman January, that the city council go into executive session. Any questions? Roll call?
Alderman Smith. Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman January.
Aye.
Alderman Jackson.
Aye.
Alderman Coleman.
Aye.
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Alderman Coleman, please disconnect from Zoom during the executive session.
To the citizens and guests, we are going into executive session. We will be back out hopefully shortly to second. Been moved by Alderman Allen, second by
Smith.
Alderman Smith, that the city council be reopened. Are there any questions? Roll call?
Alderman Jackson.
Present.
Alderman Coleman. Alderman Coleman.
Here.
Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Present.
Alderman Murphy. Present. Alderman January.
Present.
Okay. We have one more item. It is 10-1, consideration and approval of a settlement term for second and main case 19 ED 2022 CH 237. Should I give the amount?
Mayor Rocky. Oh,
Yeah, in the amount of $415,000.
Mayor Rocky.
Alderman Evans.
I would like to approve of settlement terms for second and main cases 19 ED 2022 CH 237 in the amount of $415,000 as presented.
Second.
Okay.
It's been moved by Alderman Evans, second by Alderman Smith, that 10-1 be passed as presented. Are there questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman January.
Aye.
Alderman Jackson.
Aye.
Alderman Coleman.
Aye.
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy. Aye.
Motion carried. Entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Alderman, which one?
Allen.
Evans?
Allen.
Allen, and second by Alderman Smith. City Council stand adjourned. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. For the record, committee as a whole, we're gonna be moving that to the next, next council meeting. So that's gonna be removed.
Okay. Madam Clerk, are you ready?
Yes.
All righty. I'd like to call the Judiciary Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Jackson.
Present.
Alderman Coleman.
Present.
Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Present.
Alderman Murphy. Present. Alderman January. Present.
We have 4 items up on the agenda. 2 will be pulled, is my understanding. I'll read them anyway. Number 1 would be the discussion and review of ordinance amending Title II, Chapter 4, Section 3, duties of the treasurer. Number 2, discussion review of ordinance amending Title II, Chapter 2, aldermanic spending. And the 2 that are being pulled, one is the discussion review for the proposed website policy. And then number 4 is discussion review of the North Chicago proposed electronic media policies. Those 2 have been pulled at the request of our chief of staff at this time for more follow-up.
Was the treasurer supposed to be
And the
also?
treasurer, we're looking to hold over until the next meeting due to the fact that the treasurer isn't here in person. And it's kind of, I think it would be beneficial to have him here in case any of the sitting aldermen have any questions. That way you can hear directly from him since he is currently out of town on official business.
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman.
as the sponsor of the bill, I would have to agree with you that we want everybody present. So I'll agree. You got my consensus, sir.
Okay, so we'll move that. So the only thing that we need to discuss will be the number 2, again, the aldermanic spending policy, which is Title II, Chapter 2. And is there someone presenting that one, or where we are with that one?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So there was consensus some time ago to codify the memos that the city attorney's office had prepared to describe the parameters of aldermanic spending. And so the ordinance that's presented is a codification of the instructions that we've given over the last several years, orally and in writing, to set parameters and some predictability for aldermanic spending. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Attorney Simon at this time?
So you telling us to go by this now?
If this is adopted, this is gonna be the official rules in the city code. This matches the memo we distributed last summer.
I know, because we had several memos regarding last summer, and in here, you have just looking at number 1, just looking at this on page 3. It says ward meetings including incidental provision of food and beverage. For the purpose of this definition, incidentals shall mean the cost is less than 100. For what?
For the food and beverage.
Can't spend no more than $100.
But how can you give a ward meeting if you have hundreds of people in that board meeting and you saying you can't spend less, you gotta spend less than $100? I mean, have you came to one?
these are the default rules. If
These
you
are
want-
what?
These are the default rules that will be like a safe harbor. If you spend less than $100 on food and beverage at a ward meeting, the presumption will be that it's consistent with the proper expenditure of city funds.
But I'm saying
If
it's
you,
wrong.
if you want to spend more money than that,
Mhm.
you can ask permission from the council.
Ask permission. No, it's not right. No.
It would be an exception
No,
from the
no,
ordinance.
this is not right. Why would we agree to something like this? I wouldn't agree to something like this.
The- the-
Why would you limit us to $100 and then you sit there? No, because I don't want the city to make no mistakes about it. You sitting there telling the city we get a $9,000 stipend to do things in the city. But then you turn around and you say, well, you only can spend $100 if you have a ward meeting. That's not making any sense.
It's my understanding that for a ward meeting, there's publicity, so you have to spend money on advertising the ward meeting, so you have printing, you have postage also, so there's other expenses you pay for in the course of a ward meeting. The purpose of the cost limitation is to make sure the ward meetings are focused on city business and not focused on entertainment. The reason that spending money on ward meetings is loud because it's spending public funds on public business. And if the focus of the event becomes more on the food and entertainment and less on the city business, then it becomes more like a campaign event instead of a city event.
Well, to who? Cause see, I'm just using, I'm only on line one.
Sure.
So what you're deciding is how a person can conduct a ward meeting. But you saying, well, if this person got 4,000 people in their ward, how can $100? If they got a $9,000 budget, you sitting there saying, well, I'm gonna just tell you only can spend $100 and you got 200 people at the ward meeting. I mean, it does happen. So if you got 200 people at that ward meeting, how is $100 gonna do anything? You can't buy juice. You can't buy anything, really. So how do you make that decision?
The limit provided in the ordinance is a safe harbor.
That's not safe.
If you want to spend more than that,
I'm not gonna come up here and ask, why, let me just say this. For all aldermen that's sitting here, why would we need to sit up here and ask each other how to spend money at a ward meeting when we sit up here and make decisions on $1 million contracts or hundreds of $1,000 contracts? So we're not responsible to have a stipend of 9,000 that we had to divide up. We went through that. We had to divide that 9,000 up. And we had to divide it so it'd be 9,000 per alderman. Now you're saying per alderman, I'm gonna look at this and say, you cannot spend this. You can't do this. You gotta come in front of the council in order to do it. Why?
because
Okay, why? Because
when,
you've
when
been
you're,
working on
when
it.
you're approving a contract for the road resurfacing program, which is $2 million, there is no risk that that contract for road resurfacing can be characterized as a political activity. There have been instances in the past where ward meetings have blurred the lines between city business and political business.
I'm gonna show you something. I just have one. And the city did not pay a penny for the entertainment afterwards. The ward meeting, yes. What I did afterwards, no. So see, there's a difference between that. And I'm not just speaking, I'm speaking on behalf of me because I know it could happen to any one of us that's sitting here. So to just limit us and say, like I said, we got $4,000 or $5,000, 4,000 or 5,000 people in some wards. Why would you limit that to $100?
I don't know whether you've ever had a ward meeting with 4,000 people or not. Ultimately, this is just a draft ordinance.
Okay, no, but
This is a draft ordinance. It's presented to the council for consideration. And it's up to the council if a majority want to increase it from $100. That's the council's discretion. I'm letting you know that the more that the focus of the event moves from city business to food and entertainment, raises questions about what the purpose of the event is. So that's the
So re-
explanation behind what it says there right now.
So really, Adam, this whole thing, what you should do is take the 9,000 away from everybody that's sitting on the city council. And say, look, no, really, I mean, that's what
Wait,
you.
no,
because-
because like.
Cause we're not able to spend. our
There's,
money
there's
the way
lots
we
of
want.
other reasons you can spend money from your ward budget.
No, but that's the number one that's up here. So I'm looking at, I'm just starting with number one. I could go through this whole thing, but I'm just starting with number one.
I'm pretty sure that of the aldermen who spend money from the ward budget, the great majority of that money that's spent is spent on travel, training, and seminars and conferences.
So, I mean, they choose whatever they want to spend it on, that's their opportunity. But I'm saying, you limited this one, you cannot just choose one of these and say, I want to limit you.
Alderman, if a majority of the council wants to increase that
Well, why
amount,
do they need to vote on it? I mean, this is something you can correct now.
we haven't adopted it yet.
No,
That's
no,
why
well,
we're talking about it.
But it's something that you don't even have to present, cause I'm saying, why present it?
Why is it presented that way? Because of the history of situations in the past where ward meetings, the events surrounding a ward meeting have blurred between city business and primarily entertainment.
So Alderman, and I'm sorry, Mayor, go ahead. Would you like to review this again?
Yes.
Have it,
We need to.
so
review
that you
this.
can go through this whole thing?
Correct, cause
And right now, it sounds like number one
starting
needs to
it
be
off.
changed.
It need to be changed.
Absolutely.
Need to be changed.
Okay, I mean, and I think council, I'm hearing it kind of over on this side. I'm kind of hearing, and I'm not taking over your meeting, but I'm just kind of,
Right.
so that may need to come out.
Yep.
Or
I
change,
do
or
think- I
change.
do think there should be some limit.
Some limits,
Gotta
okay.
be.
How about, let me just throw a number out, 500.
No, how about, cause see, what happens is.
I'm just trying to move this.
Yes,
This-
I hear you, Mayor.
Again, we've been back and forth with this since I came on the
We've
council.
been back and forth on
And
this for
we
4
need
years.
to
4
come to
years.
almost, you're pretty
Yeah,
close
it's
to
been 4
it, so.
years.
So hopefully we can come to some negotiated agreement of what is a reasonable number.
Like I said.
If that seems to be sadly, it seems to be the sticking point of how much money can you spend on a ward meeting. Again, $100 does look lean, but again, we do have to have a reasonable number that's not something that's outrageous at the same token. So,
Mr. Chairman.
go
May I?
ahead, Chief of Staff, James.
The one point I want to bring up so it doesn't get lost, and the content being what the content is, and it'll be reviewed by the council members and decide what's appropriate is. It was staff that asked that this be codified because of the number of memorandums that had been out there over the years. And it was staff that asked this be codified because staff was put in a difficult position
Yep.
of having their interpretation of ordinances being challenged, or I'm sorry, of memorandums being challenged. I had approached members of the council and asked that this be codified so that staff can effectively and efficiently enforce what needs to be enforced and that there is no gray area because it's adopted by the body. Whatever language the body chooses as city council, as the city attorney puts out it, that's the council's choice. We just are anxious to make sure it's codified so we can have a set of rules that are in our city code.
Makes sense.
Alderman January.
I have two things. First, one question. What is the amount, please refresh my memory, what is the amount in which an item has to be brought to the council for approval?
Tawanda's here, but I believe over $10,000 comes to the council for approval, over 20 has to go to competitive bid.
Okay, thank you. And then second of all, I'm not happy with this ordinance at all. I'm agreeing that we need to have some sort of parameters and a way of holding everybody accountable, but we also need to hold every single elected official accountable to how we're spending the citizens' monies. And I don't see anything in here about that and making this an elected official ordinance with the alderman piece in there, but also with the mayor, with the treasurer, with the clerk, because they are elected officials along with us as well. And there are times that there has also been brought to, in front of council, and I know it's been brought to my attention about the fact of these other entities also kind of blurring the lines between campaigning and what's city business. So we need to have accountability for everybody, not just for aldermen. Okay?
So the clerk and the mayor and the treasurer, besides being elected officials, are also department heads. The mayor's the head of the mayor's office, the clerk's the head of the clerk's office, and the treasurer's the head of the treasurer's office. But earlier tonight, the city council approved an amendment to the city code that allows department heads to spend $100. So they can spend $100 on their own as long as it's already in the budget. If they want to spend more than $100, they have to go to the comptroller and get permission to spend that money. So there are checks and balances on the expenditures from those departments, just like any other department head. So they're held to the same standard of the
Don't see
department.
that. I don't see check and balances. Sorry to correct you. There is no check and balance. We need to make sure that it is put, just if you're gonna put the alderman under the microscope, the other elected officials need to be under the microscope as well.
We'll agree to
So-
disagree.
Now, it was my understanding that a couple council meetings ago, we did talk about having it as an elected official, and I don't know if Mr. Silverman was here then or if Megan was here, but that was one of the things that was requested.
was a
That it
consensus.
was a consensus of the council that we have an elected official policy versus just the automatic. I do recall that in one of our meetings. So if we, I'm going to go online and imagine that we want to hold this over until we can get some clarification, Mayor.
Could I ask then if that is the case, then you want to clarify all the different departments, then
Not
maybe.
departments.
Well,
Elected
elected
officials.
officials.
There's only a
Then-
certain set of
then-
elected
then
officials here.
I would request that the alderman have their ordinance and then have another ordinance regarding those that are considered department heads. The clerk, the treasurer, and the mayor's
And I
office.
want it titled elected officials.
I'm,
I think everybody here is kind of somewhat in agreement that there needs to be
again-
accountability from everyone that's elected. Not talking
again,
about your department heads.
it still bodes different from
It's not
alderman to the chief executive officer of the city
Not different.
as what that person's spending is worked through.
Chairman,
Alderman Smith.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Mhm.
What the mayor is saying, what you're saying, still put it in place. We just titled differently, but it's still put in place. There's a guideline for the automatic spending and guidelines for the other officials as well.
Exactly.
Well,
That's
then
what
we
I
need
meant.
to do that at the same time.
Okay, that's.
It doesn't matter
We're not
where,
doing
I'm just
that.
saying that
We're
it
not
should be
doing
two separate
They're not the
ordinances
same.
addressed. Exactly.
You're putting, and I don't know why we have to have separate, when you can put it under one and just put the titles in between, like your section 1 is the mayor's elected official for the mayor. To whatever you want, however you want to do it. You can put subtitles into the ordinance and then put the automatic piece inside that ordinance. You don't have to have two separate ones. That's ridiculous.
Chairman, how can we move forward? I think we're still saying the same thing. How can we move forward? In making that happen or actually?
We can draft an ordinance that addresses all the elected officials. I don't have any instruction as to what compromise number that everyone will agree upon for ward meetings for what's incidental food and beverage. But we can certainly prepare an ordinance that provides codifies the rules for all the elected officials.
But, which one?
Go ahead.
Which one?
Go ahead, Alderman. Go.
Alderman Evans.
You know, since we're talking about this and you're going to suggest elected officials, we have other boards that's here, library board.
Library board actually controls their own budget.
Okay, do somebody, we have other boards, so do we? All of them is appointed through us.
They can't spend money unless it's in the budget.
Okay, now, like I said, we've been working on this thing for 4 years. I know what started it for 4 years now. We've been getting memos, we've been getting other things throughout this whole 4-year period. So for this 4 years, and you've been working on it. Now I'm gonna ask you this. Is there anywhere else that you're working on automatic or elected officials stuff for the past 4 years? Just been focused on it, and you still haven't achieved anything, because we still right back to where we at. We really are. We still don't understand how you're gonna give us a budget, because one of the biggest things was the budget. We didn't want to put it all together. Everybody wanted it separate. You got everybody to agree on it.
Right.
And everybody went on ahead and said, okay, we're gonna do the budget separate. And actually, majority of us left that alone. They said, okay, you're doing it, you get your 9,000, if you spend it, it's fine. If you overspend and you come to an alderman and ask them to help you out, that would be fine. So what I'm trying to figure out, why is we back to this discussion again?
That's what I'm saying.
If we had already made an agreement. See, we keep coming back to this, and I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm gonna be just like one of my fellow aldermen. You getting paid for these hours that we sitting here discussing this unnecessary topic. Cause we keep coming up with one agreement, then we close it, then we wait a couple of more months and we come right back to the same agreement.
I mean, apparently staff gets enough questions from the elected officials. The elected officials submit enough reimbursement requests, but where the staff feels they need more certainty, because we answer one question and another question pops up like whack-a-mole. And so staff has asked the council, and the council has tentatively agreed to codify the spending rules for elected officials. And you were gonna ask me if I have any other clients where this is a problem.
Yes.
I have no other municipal clients that give their elected officials credit cards. And I have no other municipal clients where the elected officials spend money independently from the council.
So is that what you're trying to make this do now?
No,
I mean,
I'm
you want
trying
to put
to-
it out there.
I'm trying to find a way for you to continue to exercise your authority in a way that protects you and is legal.
And you said it was okay when we all agreed on it. And you said you guys could, if Alderman January needs some extra money or I need some extra money, we could do that. You said that. So why we keep coming back to it? Yeah. That's all I'm asking.
Chief of Staff answered that question.
If I can say this, the 8 months I've been here, I've had more questions come up about alderman spending to me and saying, from staff saying, Chief of Staff, I'm not approving this, or I'm reluctant to approve this. Can you take a look at it? We do. We've given some scrutiny. I talk to the aldermen that are affected, and then we move on. All I'm asking for staff is to have a codified set of rules so that staff doesn't get in that position. If ward meetings and the amount, number one, is struck out of there, it's okay for us. It doesn't have to have a dollar amount on it. If that's what the council decides. If the council decides we can spend up to whatever money we have allotted in our budget for the ward meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
My only concern about that is ward meetings cannot become political or campaign events. And
That's
so
where I was going next.
And so it's my recommendation that some number be chosen as a safe harbor to avoid the appearance of impropriety.
Mr. Chairman.
How can you limit?
Stand by.
Again, how can you limit if people got 4,000 or 5,000 or more people in their ward and they trying to estimate what's gonna be what? How can you determine that? Because usually it will be the alderman who would determine it.
We gotta start somewhere.
No,
The number's up to you.
You can start right there, because if that alderman run out of money within that year, it's done. Like, we agreed on it, it's done. So why are we back discussing it again? You made it clear. We talked about that. We talked about, the spending of travel and training, the gas amount. We know not to do no parties. We know not to have no DJ. So if there's other things that we know not to have the chief of staff come up here and say, this is what you guys can't do. Write a type up a letter, the things that you can't do. If that's gonna satisfy you.
Mr. Chairman, can I offer a suggestion?
Go ahead there, Chief. Staff.
I'm gonna ask, the council obviously wants to digest the material in here a little bit more. And what I would offer is that myself, Wanda being responsible because she's on driving here, you bet. Being the chief purchasing officer, what I'm going to suggest is we take the foundation that council, the village or city attorney provided us. I meet with each alderman individually. Get your take on what's there, whether it's elected officials and the verbiage there. I think there does need to be something for department heads just to make sure we're clean on that and consistent on it so it doesn't come back down the line. And I'll sit with each alderman and get your preferences either, because other than that number one sticking point up there that Alderman Evans has pointed out that he has concerns with, I don't think, without talking about the title of elected official or alderman on it, I don't think there's anything else in here, to be honest with you, that that would rub the council the wrong way. I think it's things that you are totally comfortable with to begin with. Language changes and that point number one for discussion. City attorney's job is to make sure that he protects the city from risk. That's his job. And if he, and I can't speak for 2, 3, 4 years ago, because certainly I wasn't here, but if there was a question of, let's put in a safeguard so when somebody gets up to the line, they don't cross that line. I think that's what the city attorney was trying to do. If the city council feels there's a number or not a number needed for that, and we have to find an alternate way to address those issues when they come up. But I'm implore the city council to codify this for the sake and sanity of the staff and just to make sure we're consistent. The other thing, the codification it makes us do, it makes us be consistent. And you can't lose, you can't do wrong if you're consistent and stay within the code. So I would ask to meet with each one of the council members, working off of Attorney Simon's work as our base, which came from the memos that he incorporated at our request, at staff's request, and meet with each of you either via phone, Zoom, or one-on-one, and get a product that can get back, and so it's not 4 years down the line, we're still talking about it. Mr. Chairman, if that's acceptable to the committee, I'm more than happy to move that forward with the cooperation and work of the city attorney and the comptroller as well.
I like that, and that seems
good to me.
to be able to be worked on. I know Alderman Coleman, I believe, had a question or a comment.
I had a comment too. Yeah, I just want to make sure we get back to city business here. We're just going back and forwards here. We all got $9,000. Take your money, you want to do your thing, what you want to do, but as long as you stay in your premise like we always been, well, we said we're going through this for the next, every week we come here, we got city business here we be focusing on, trying to bring economic to our city. Talk about what we can do to bring our city. We ain't got time to be playing this here, for my $9,000. This is crazy. Let's do business here tonight. Quit folks don't talking about going back and forth, tell all of us come up and talk about we'll vote on it, give them the money. Like, forget this. We've been working for 20, 50 years. And now we talk about we want to change something. Just keep it like you got it. You got your money, spend it like you want to spend it. When it's all gone, or you do something wrong with it, then you don't get your money, you don't get paid for it. Simple. Simple. We making a mountain out of a molehill. So, hey, we don't be having all these meetings and all this stuff here. You got your 9,000. Let's focus on that. The mayor got his budget, everybody got their budget. Let's focus on just moving forward with the city. Take that paper and throw it in the garbage. Let's get busy. Back to the city business. Thank you.
Alderman Coleman.
My God. Good job.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I told him so back and forth.
He's in the waiting room.
Oh.
They're trying to make it. Yeah, don't sit right there.
Is he there? No? Okay, well, it appears that we're looking to go ahead and move it forward to meet with the chief of staff and again, come up with a final agreed upon or tentatively draft that we can all work with and again, hopefully get this resolved and ease on down the road, hopefully, so. Yeah, so. Is he there? Otherwise, I'm gonna ask for a motion, so if he's not.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Alderman.
I'm sorry, I had some technical issues. Is it my turn or is it we moved on?
No, it's your turn. You're the last one to speak before we adjourn the meeting,
All right.
to my understanding, so.
All right, well, quick question for for Chief Jackson. Has there been any questions on the mayor's spending from staff?
The last questions I remember was a trip that the mayor made out to the East Coast and he had difficulty with his flight arrangements from Chicago to St. Louis, I believe it was, got delayed. There were some questions pertaining to those receipts. The comptroller reached out to me. We looked into it. Everything appeared to be in order.
Okay. All right. So that was the only question for spending, correct? Now,
Yes.
now I've been an advocate of checks and balances since I've been here. The staff is day-to-day operations. The mayor is the one that that makes the decision on staff. And I'm not surprised to hear that his staff finds 101 questions to ask about automatic spending with one minor question to the mayor. Everyone knows here that I've brought up questions, missing receipts, you going to the bar, not turning in receipts. Those are all questions that I brought up, not your staff. So there is no checks and balances, and I'm about checks and balances, right? So to let the aldermen know, since I've been here for a year, we've been talking about automatic spending, and we came to a consensus that we'll all agree to elected officials. And it was presented to us again, the automatic spending. So, as alderman, I would recommend, if we're tired of talking about automatic spending, let's vote it up, vote it down. If we choose to vote it down under Robert Rules of Order, automatic spending cannot come back on the floor. The only thing that will be able to come back on the floor will be an elected officials policy. So instead of us talking about it, let's just vote it up, vote it down. If it gets voted down, then staff will have to bring us back what we all had a consensus of, which is an elected officials policy. So I would personally like to move the automatic policy to the next agenda to be voted on. So once, if it's voted down, then we're done talking about it. So to give it to us the way it is, if we vote it down, then the next thing you have to bring us back automatic spending. Now, I have another question, right?
Alderman, let me address your first question. We
Okay.
just got done talking about that. Obviously, the chief of staff and the comptroller is going to go back with the document they have. They're going to get in touch with the alderman to discuss and look at potential rewrite of the potential ordinance that we're talking about, or policy. That's something that's already pretty much has been decided.
And we decided last time that we were going to do elected official policy, and it's been 4 years. So I'm tired. It's been a year for me, 4 years, and I keep hearing the same thing over and over. And if we keep doing the same thing over and over, we're going to keep getting the results. Now, this policy, there was zero work put into it. They brought it back to us and they promised us the last meeting it was going to be elected officials. So if you keep crying wolf and you keep saying you're going to bring us back to elected and you don't do it, then I'm tired of it. I just want to vote it down and me, and then bring us back what we asked. Now, whatever the council wants to do as a whole, that's up to the council. That's your decision. I'm only one person. So moving on to the next thing that I have to ask. These ward meetings are bordering the line of political campaigning. Now, my question to you, and I want to ask this on the floor, what's the difference in the ward meeting and community days? Because we've known over the years, there have been some changes, but community days was originally started off as a campaign event. And then it turned to a city event, but we're still voting to spend money on a political event, but we're calling it public relations. So my thing is, as an alderman ward meeting, wouldn't that fall under the same thing as community days, as public relations with our citizens that are in our ward? So that would be my question, and that's a real question, and I really want that answered. What's the difference between community days bordering that line where we might spend $20,000 on fireworks versus a ward meeting where we might spend $500 on food? So what would be the difference on that, Mr. Attorney?
I think it's you.
So I can't promise that my characterization of community days will be the same as yours. But community days, to my understanding, is not designed to promote or enhance the reputation, visibility, or name recognition of an individual elected official. It is a community event designed to raise the profile of the city as a whole and to give back to the residents. And it is not designed to aggrandize or politicize one particular elected official.
Is that not what our ward meetings do?
It depends on what the ward meeting event entails.
I mean, because we've had dunk tanks, we've had jumpy house, we've had all of these things to promote the city as a whole. And when we do it on a micro section of the city with a dunk tank, and we've got DJs and we've got entertainers, and that's all entertainment. That's entertainment for the community. We know that it's entertainment based. So when we have an entertainment based ward meeting, that we do the same thing like at community days, we pass out information, we have people there, we're answering questions, just like at community days. They're both entertainment. I mean, how is one promote the city, good entertainment, and then the one entertainment that promotes the ward is bad entertainment? I don't, that's what I'm confused about. Maybe you can help me out.
Alderman, let me just clarify in regards to.
No, sir. This was addressed to the attorney. And the chairman has to recognize you in order to speak.
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, first of all, community days is a function like other communities that are hosting it, whether it's Gurnee, Lake Forest, Libertyville. For our community days, we actually have raised dollars, not only the city of North Chicago, but the school district and the park district are all part of community days. It is not just the city of North Chicago. We are the ones that may be having the person that is over it here, but when they have their meetings, the school districts there, the park districts there, to know what direction we're going. Plus that community days, we go out and solicit funds for community days. It does not all come out of city dollars. It is something that the chair or hombre, let's just put it that way, is out soliciting dollars to make sure that that $20,000 of firework is coming from, it could be coming from Emco Chemicals, it could come from Procter and Gamble's, it could be coming from ADV, it could be, I mean, these are all entities that contribute to our community days. Any alderman, any elected official from any of the different taxing bodies are welcome to be a part of that entertainment, as you want to call it. But it is given back to the city of North Chicago for their to promote our community. So and if you're trying to put community days compared to your award meeting, I think you're doing apples to oranges.
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on, Alderman. I got Alderman January.
You know what, there's always been questions about community days. And I think where Alderman Coleman is coming from is the fact that, Mr. Mayor, we see your campaign team in the parade. That's not a place for them to be. That is, to me, crossing the line about being political versus a community event. So I would ask that, if that's the case, then I would ask that your campaign.
Alderman
team
Evans,
not
do you have a float in
Be
it?
there.
Does Brad
No, I
Snyder
didn't
have a
say-
vote in it?
Mr.
Does Rita
Chairman,
Mayfield have
Mr.
a
Chairman,
Of
point of
course.
order.
Is that, wait a minute, if you're
Point of
gonna tell me
order,
I can't
Mr.
I
Mayor.
can't go
No,
and
I
have.
didn't
January
say
has the
about a
floor.
vote.
Mr. Mayor, Alderman January has. the
I'm sorry,
floor.
I'm
Please.
sorry. Go right ahead, Alderman.
Again, I have seen over the years, your campaign team in their campaign shirts in the parade, handing out stuff, political stuff. So I would ask, let's not, if we're gonna be held accountable for stuff, a float is one thing. But handing out political stuff at a community days, that's crossing the line. So just, I'll let the lawyer speak to that, but thank you so much.
And
First and foremost, in a parade, you have to pay fees to be in a parade. Everybody that comes in and is a part of that parade has to pay
The
to get in.
mayor, the chairman still didn't address
Wait a
you. Can
minute,
you
is it
please
my
Alderman,
stop
Alderman,
bullying the
Alderman,
meeting?
Mayor
please?
is talking.
Is it
He
my
has the
turn?
floor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So any elected official from any community, from anywhere in the county, if they wish to be a part of a parade, they have that opportunity. Yes, I mean, if you're talking about being in parades, I've been in Waukegan's parade, I've been in Zion's parade. I mean, but any elected official, it's not just me.
I'm talking about within our own city. I'm not talking
Evan,
about-
Alderman Evans has it. I mean, whoever else wants to be in a parade, if you wish to be and be a part
In
and
the parades.
and show that, you know, 7th Ward Alderman,
Yeah, that's what I do. I don't hand out political campaigning information.
So,
but-
so
I know.
I don't think it's the office of the mayor that has a float in the parade. It is the political action committee that supports the mayor's campaign that buys the float in the parade. And because the parade rules allow anyone interested in the community to buy a float, a political action committee can buy a parade float. That's different than spending city funds to purchase a parade float. Just like I've always said, if a alderperson wants to have a party and entertain their constituents, they can use their campaign fund to do that. A campaign fund can purchase a parade float.
That's what I do.
That's
See,
fantastic.
Miss-
no, but see, you trying to stop it though.
No.
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman, go ahead. And we're gonna limit this because this has gone
Okay.
on long
Well,
enough.
that's-
And again, you're gonna be the last one in this conversation, Alderman, and we're
Fair
gonna
enough.
need to move on. We have other
Fair-
business to tend to.
That's fair enough. I don't want to detract from the situation and get into is community days legal or not. That's not what I'm trying to do. What my original question, and I'm gonna stick to my original question, is what's the difference? One of the differences that I heard is that everyone is involved with community days. And that's fair enough. But also, I've been to Alderman Carl Ward events and Mr. Smith's Ward events, and Foss Park is there. Vance Wyatt speaks. The school district has been there at our ward meetings as well. And any official is more than welcome from the library board or any board to come to our ward meetings and speak and to give out information to our residents. And we encourage it like we encourage it for community days. So if that's the only difference between the two is everybody is involved, then that's what we do in our ward meetings is we have everybody involved. So my original question was, what is the difference? Why are we labeling one as political and the other one not as political? And the only clear-cut answer I heard is everybody can raise money or everybody can get in the parade float. Anybody can come to a ward meeting. Anyone can speak to our residents. That's what we want. So I don't want to cancel community days. I don't want to cancel the ward meeting days. I don't want to do anything illegal, right? As far as spending money. But I think that, like Alderman January said, is we have to follow the rules across the board, and no one is questioning. The staff is not questioning community days, and I have to vote on community days myself. So I want to be clear that I'm not voting for a political event. The same way I wouldn't vote for an alderman to have a political event with city money. So until I can hear the difference between a ward meeting and community days, other than everybody is involved, um, I would have to say, let's cancel everything until we can get it straightened out.
Okay, at this point, I'm ready to adjourn the meeting. I need a motion to adjourn it. Moved by Alderman Allen, seconded by Alderman Evans to adjourn the Judiciary Committee meeting.
Mr.
Roll call.
I'm gonna need more than one period between now and next meeting to
Let's look
To
at by the
decorate
end
this.
of June to get another bite of the apple, please, if that'll work for you.
thank you, Alderman.
Okay, well, then we'll just have to go back into what was given in 2018 that was voted upon. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Jackson,
Aye.
Alderman Coleman. Alderman Evans,
Here.
Alderman Coleman,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Murphy, Alderman January.
Right. I'd like to open up economic development.
The Judiciary Committee meeting stands adjourned at this time.
I would like to open up Economic Development Planning and Zoning Committee. We have one item on the agenda, discussion of youth bill, Lake County.
Roll call.
Oh, yeah, I'm done. Y'all on that point. That's good. Roll call.
Alderman Jackson,
Present.
Alderman Coleman,
Present.
Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Smith,
Present.
Alderman Murphy. Present. Alderman January.
I'd like to open up Economic Development Planning and Zoning Committee. We have one item on the agenda, discussion of youth bill, Lake County, concept presentation. Come on down.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm wondering if this was the right week to come before you all.
Is this the right day?
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me. My name is Tamika Wilson. I have been the Executive Director of Youth Build Lake County since 2016 and with the organization for 10 and a half years, as we are now celebrating our 20th year in existence here in the city of North Chicago. Thank you. Is it possible, I believe there is a PowerPoint in addition to the one pager. Awesome. Okay. So first of all, I would just like to acknowledge the council. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come before you as the Chair of the Economic Development and Zoning Committee, Alderman Smith. And to all of you, I want to just say first and foremost, thank you for all of the support that you have continued to give us over the 20 years of our existence here in the city of North Chicago. And most recently, it has been through CDBG funding that we receive consistently for our affordable housing development and training of our young people. So I am going to go a little bit into a career training and workforce hub concept presentation. Before I do so, I just want to recognize a few people that have joined me today. We have several of our board members, including our board chair, Jim Beal. Several of our staff members and trainers are here, as well as present on the Zoom. And then we also have with us Andreas. Andreas is in our newest cohort. He wanted to be here to see the governmental process in action. So thank you so much for offering him that opportunity. All right. So for those of you, I'm certain all of you are familiar with Youth Build, but we'll go ahead and go to the 2 slides forward. So about Youth Build Lake County. Our mission is to provide underserved young adults with the education, training, and life skills necessary to become gainfully employed. We can go to the next slide. At Youth Build, we offer resources and support, free programs. As a matter of fact, we're an earn and learn program. So anyone enrolled in any of our programs are receiving a stipend to help offset the time that they're spending with us, because we know that serving low income and marginalized populations of young people is a sacrifice for them to spend 7 hours a day with us Monday through Friday. We want to make sure that we're providing them opportunities to help to compensate for what would otherwise potentially be a part-time or full-time job. We are helping them to receive a high school diploma while they're in the program. They're receiving industry recognized credentials and certifications. There is career readiness skills, resume work, mock interviews, hands-on work experience, typically through our affordable housing program that we are training them on a work site, and then transition assistance to careers, colleges, and vocational schools. I will say that this slide is an oversimplification of all the work that Youth Build does to support our young people and our adults who come through our program. So we have 3 programs currently. The Youth Build program is our flagship or anchor program that serves 16 to 24-year-old young adults who have dropped out of high school or have graduated from high school but are not prepared adequately either for college or the workforce. They're coming to us, earning that high school diploma, earning those industry recognized credentials, gaining what we call soft skills, which are the skills that are necessary to keep a job once you have a job, and being introduced to the hard skills in potentially construction, healthcare, transportation, distribution, and logistics, or other in-demand industries here in Lake County. Our second program is our pre-apprentice program. This is funded, the first one is funded through the Department of Labor, Federal Department of Labor. Which we recently won, just so everyone is aware. We just recently won our next 2-year funding on last Thursday. $1.5 million is coming into the city of North Chicago to continue that Youth Build program. Our pre-apprentice program is funded through the Illinois Department of Economic and DCEO, Department of Commerce and Economic Development. It's an Illinois Works program. We serve 18 years and older in that program. It's about a 12-week program where they're being introduced to all the skills related to the trades, as well as introduced to different types of trades. Many of us think immediately of things like carpentry or painting or roofing, but there are so many different elements that they can go into that will offer registered apprenticeships which present career ladders that offer a living wage to these individuals who otherwise may be looked over when it comes time for them to apply to a program that would give them these opportunities. So this 12-week program helps us to bridge that introduction to many of the registered apprenticeship programs and trades. And then the last program, and the one that will launch within the next couple of weeks, we have a registered apprenticeship program that was approved by the Federal Department of Labor. This is a facility maintenance and repair program. Our apprentices will be with us for 18 months. We have 5 employers. These individuals will be hired starting in at about $16 an hour and topping out in 18 months at $20 an hour, earning a credential, spending 3 days per month with Youth Build as the trainer, and then moving on during the rest of that month, they're training specifically with their employer, getting paid, earning PTO, earning benefits. They're actually employees, and by the time that they're done with that 18-month program, they're an employee that each employer wants to retain. You can go to the next slide. Our program participant statistics, we serve 88% people of color, 72% or more low income. We have, our young people are part of something called AmeriCorps. So we in our community, many times community service is seen as something that's punitive. And that is one of the things that we change at Youth Build, because so many times when we put these young people to work in their community, building something that is sustainable, something that will be there for generations to come, being able to make sure that we're beautifying. We sat and listened to, you know, the concerns around the different wards and things that are going on. These young people go out and assist within the wards. They assist throughout the community of North Chicago as well as Lake County. And last year's cohort gave over 12,000 hours of community service in a way that is meaningful and changes the way they think about giving back. 76% of our young people earn diplomas. 76% of our young people, high school dropouts, earn diplomas, and 77% secured employment within the first 3 months after leaving the Youth Build program. So that was just a little bit about our program. Thank you. That was just a little bit about our program. But what I'm here to talk to you tonight about is the prospect of a new facility. So Youth Build Lake County, in our 20 years of existence, was founded and started at Daisy's Resource Center. After a couple years there, moved to the VA campus as a tenant. When the VA decided that they needed that space for something else, we became a tenant of the North Chicago Community School District. And that's where we've been at for about 17 years now. Our lease is up in May of 2025. And we have matured beyond the grassroots organization that we were founded as. And there's opportunities now for us to serve our young adults in a very unique and substantial way. But in order to do that, we need to make sure that we are not placing them in a school with limitations, but in a career training hub that will allow us to serve them in ways that are going to truly be impactful. So the new facility would have state-of-the-art technology, increased space, expanded capacity, increased skills and diverse workforce, accessible and innovative training. Participants will be prepared for in-demand careers, a culture of lifelong learning and civic engagement. They'll have resilient local economy and cohesive community. You know what, let me back up here. The resilient local economy, some of these are items that actually comes from the comprehensive plan of North Chicago and how they align with the work that Youth Build Lake County is doing. The last one there is the commitment to North Chicago's vision for growth and inclusivity. Those are elements that Youth Build Lake County for 20 years has already been working to bring to an impact here in North Chicago, and we hope to see that continue long-term. We'll offer economic revitalization through a skilled workforce development, advanced educational infrastructure, year-round vocational training facilities. One of the things that I don't know how many of you all have had to do any exterior work in January or February here in North Chicago, but we offer our programs year-round, and we're training in construction. So being able to bring in a new class, get them skilled up so that when they are out in the elements, that they're able to be effective rather than in that early stages of learning is really, really important. It's a community-centric, safe learning environment with adaptable learning and development elements. And most importantly, an environmental sustainability and an eco-friendly, energy efficient facility. There we go. So this is the proposed site location. So what you're looking at is bordered on the east by Lewis, the west by Renken. I will say that it sits directly to the south of the Public Works Building and the Paris Banquet Hall. The blue parcel, the city would retain and create an easement off of Renken so that we are able to coordinate shared use where necessary of that easement, equipment storage, and access. And then the red parcel, parcel 1, the 3.66 acres, currently owned by the city, is what we're requesting as the first part of our request. Parcel 2 is currently owned by SEPA, Community Partners for Affordable Housing. They have already agreed to allow YouthBuild to acquire that land. And we are hoping to have everything coordinated between the city of North Chicago and SEPA so that, because we obviously cannot do parcel number 1 without parcel number 2, and the access, which we'll go to in just a second, to parcel number 1 would come through parcel number 2 as our primary access point. If you can scroll down it toward, yep, and to the left, there's a little yellow patch. At the end of Renken, we had originally proposed for that entire site in red to be considered for YouthBuild's acquisition. And what we were looking to place there is an affordable housing unit, 4 units of affordable housing to be exact. 2 of them would be affordable rental housing. The other 2 would be transitional housing for young adults as they are starting into their careers. One of the things that we find with the YouthBuild participants is in any given year, we can see anything between 30 and 70% of homelessness or transitional housing unstable housing, I apologize. And when you're starting into your career, that housing instability creates more opportunities for job loss. We want to see these young people retain the jobs once they get them. So creating an opportunity for stable housing over that first year to 18 months that they're employed and allowing them to create a self-sufficiency would allow them to then transition on successfully. So this was an area that was proposed to us as an alternative. It obviously makes a lot of sense since it's in the middle of other residential areas, but it's only a block away from the YouthBuild facility. And if we can go to the last slide. So we wanted to do just a little bit of a graphic in terms of what that, a little bit of a graphic in terms of what that might look like with the area developed. This is obviously not architectural drawings, but we wanted to just kind of demonstrate access off of Lewis. The property that's now currently owned by SEPA would become parking for the facility. The blue areas are the actual buildings that would be put in place. We would definitely want to make sure that we're creating a detention area that beautifies that space, as well as creates a barrier between our facility and those residents so that they have that are to the south, so that there is you know, an opportunity for them not to feel like they're in a commercially, you know, or school or career training area. But again, you guys can certainly take a look at what that looks like in your handouts as well. But that's what we're hoping to see developed. We look forward to being able to offer partnerships that will bring economic development, job training opportunities to the community of North Chicago, and truly stand out in a way that supports the growth and development of our citizens and brings individuals to North Chicago for additional training, careering up, re-careering. So we are asking for a donation of the property The property currently, and these were some of the considerations that we took in, things that we took into consideration, by it not being on the tax rolls right now, we are not taking away property that is otherwise slated for future income. It creates a partnership opportunity also between the work that Youth Build Lake County is doing for our young adults, keeping us stably in North Chicago, as this would be a space that we would own and develop. And, you know, if there is the opportunity to be considered as a donation, we would certainly appreciate it. We are open, though, without question, for any in-kind partial contribution up to market price for the property. Okay, the last slide is my information, our Senior Director of Development and Communications, as well as our board chair. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come before you.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Alderman Coleman.
I would like to address Mrs. Wilkins.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, good evening. To
Good
address
evening.
your first, good evening. To address your first statement, any time is a good time to come to council. And to clarify the record, me and the mayor, I will still say, as we always don't see eye to eye, we are friends and we do work together. We might have two different visions, but I think everybody on the council, including the mayor, and we all try to do what's best for the residents. And I would still consider the mayor my friend, and I don't want anybody in the audience to get it confused. It's never personal with me and the mayor. It's business, and we're working for the people in the community. Okay, so I addressed that first one. I know you said it lightly.
Thank you,
And
Alderman. Thank you.
no
and
problem, Mr.
get right
No
back at
problem,
you.
Mr. Mayor. And secondly, I would like to let the alderman know, my interactions with Youth Build have always been pleasant. And I would say I'm a big, huge fan of Youth Build before I got the seat, and even now, if there's anything I can do to help the children and the community, and I think Mrs. I will get your last name right. Mrs. Tamika and
Wilson.
Mrs. Wilson, and I want to call you Mrs. Rockingham, but Mrs. Wilson and Mr. Kingston, every conversation I've had has always been, what can Youth Build do for the community? As far as volunteering or anything, how can we help North Chicago? So this is the first time I've ever heard them come to me or come to the council as a whole and ask for anything. They're normally giving or requesting if it's anything that we can do. So I just want you to know, Mrs. Wilson, and your board president, that I'm most definitely on board with anything that I can personally do to help out the children. And it's not personal, it's to help out the children in the community that we so desperately need. They fill in the gaps for the school district, where we might not have a wood shop. We might not have a carpentry class elective or electrician elective and things of that nature in our school district that I've been fighting for. But they also fill in the gaps for some of the electoral classes that we don't carry at the high school that we might have in the future, but right now we don't have it. So I'm in 100% support. Mrs. Wilson, continue to do what you do for the children. And, I appreciate the whole Rockingham family, including you and everyone else. So continue to do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman, if I can respond, I believe there was at least one question posed in that, and I'd like to first start with a statement. And one of the reasons that we do have so many of our leadership here at this meeting is because we did recognize that in my role as Executive Director of Youth Build Lake County, that there is obviously a relationship with the mayor because he is my father. And one of the things that we have wanted to make sure that we do is present this to the council, to the aldermen, who are the ones who will vote on this. Because, and working directly through the chief of staff and the economic development office. We understand that any perception of impropriety would taint the reputation of both Youth Build and the city of North Chicago. So we are before the council. And I am asking, and again, thank you, Alderman, for pointing that out. But I want to just make sure that I'm clear that we are coming to you understanding that you all have the interests of the city and at heart, and that we are hoping that you understand, and to Alderman Coleman's comment, also understand the situation that the young people are in who we are serving. So to answer the question of what you can do, Alderman Coleman, is to support the donation of this land for Youth Build Lake County.
And Mrs. Wilson, I promise you, I would never vote for you because you are the mayor's daughter. I would vote for you because you're doing a good job. I wouldn't even vote for the mayor sometimes, and he's the mayor. I would only vote for you if you were doing a good job with our children. And I don't give
Thank
out
you.
idle compliments. So I'm not that type of guy. I'm gonna be honest with you, but you do a good job. So anybody could be speaking in your behalf right now, and I would support them because of the job that Youth Build has done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Question,
Alderman Jackson.
land-wise, how many acres did that wind up being? Do we
It
know?
ends up being about 4. We still need to work through that with the Director of Economic Development and Public Works. But it's about 3.6, 3.7 in that first parcel 1, and then the housing parcel is about a half an acre.
Okay, second question. To our knowledge, that particular land is not on any floodplains or anything like that we need to be concerned about. I'm looking at our, because I don't want, like I said, I hate to have you get something and find out, oh, we're underwater. That's not gonna work out well. So it's not on any floodplain or, okay.
And the other thing is we have submitted a letter of intent to the city that will allow us, once approved, access for engineering and to determine, if there's any concerns such as that.
That and soil and things
Correct.
of that nature. Okay, because are they gonna do any boring to make sure there's no problem?
I have
to your
very
knowledge?
smart people on my board
They
who
won't.
do all of, but yes.
I just want to make sure you don't have problems if we
Yeah.
say, if obviously the council say, hey, we want to give it to you, and then find out later, you're mad at us, so I want to stay on your good side.
Yeah, we
I'm
will,
very
we will
safe.
we'll make sure that it's a viable space for for the intended purposes as presented.
Any more questions? Alderman Allen?
What is that land? I'm just curious, what does it work? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
If I sit there saying, nobody gonna ask a question.
Oh, no.
I'll give some, I'm gonna make sure.
So,
Yeah, we had an independent appraisal done for this property. It was $280,000.
Okay, thank you.
That was for that was the original request. Thank you for clarification. That was the 1.4 in blue that you see on the map above,
Right,
as well as the 3.66
Okay.
in red.
All right.
It did not include the kind of square parcel number 2 that's on the screen to the east, is obviously that's in
That don't
separate
belong to-
ownership.
that don't belong to the city.
Correct. And it did not include the 0.4 acres. that's
Right.
in the
All right, but you don't know what that part is worth. Okay, I just wanted to.
that is not being used right now.
Yeah, I think that came out to about 56 to 58,000 per acre.
Okay.
Any more questions? All right, I'd just like to say that I applaud the program, because I'm back, when we went to school, we had wood shop, all of these trade in the high school, and it's like they're gone. I like the youth build, I like what you guys are doing, teaching these kids trade, because if you have a trade, you can always work. I do want to ask another question. In your 20 years, give me a success story Does anyone start their own business or?
So outside of council chambers, I'll share one, but outside of the council chambers here, we've got 6 success stories on display. I've got about 8 or 9 of these books as well, because we did 20 stories for 20 years to share some of those successes. I think the story of, I'll share actually Carlton's story, because Carlton spoke recently at our benefit. His story is out front. But Carlton, I believe, was in the program around 2009. He was in our weatherization program. He came in, he did have a high school diploma when he came into the program, but he was homeless. And through much of the time that he was in the program, so he had a lot of supports that were given to him to make sure and aiding him in being successful in achieving his certifications and moving through the program. He went on to the College of Lake County, completed his associate's degree, and then went on for his 4-year bachelor's degree. He is now a real estate agent with the Kite Team in Libertyville and will be joining the board of directors at Youthfield Lake County next month when they vote for him to help to govern the direction of the organization moving forward. I will also share that you have one of the success stories in your ward. Ryan Ray is listed on one of the boards as well. He came into the program shortly after losing his brother, and he was able to join Naval Facilities Engineering Command as a carpentry apprentice. I think it was carpentry. I don't think it was painting. But he is still employed with Naval Facilities Engineering Command as a federal employee. He's moved from trades, from what would be considered blue collar to white collar within the agency, came back and shared that with us. He was very excited for that transition. And he is homeowner, a father living here in the community. I will say that of the 6, I believe 4 are North Chicago residents that are on the boards outside. So wanted to be able to share those with you.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Tamika.
Thank you.
Good job down in Springfield too.
Thank you.
We enjoy it.
All right, can I get a motion to close?
So move.
Can I get a motion to close Economic Development and Planning and Zoning Committee?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Murphy. Roll call.
Alderman Jackson.
Aye.
Alderman Coleman.
Aye.
Alderman Evans. Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy. Alderman January. Oh, go back to the agenda.
That's it.
Public safety. Public safety.
No, we don't have any, that's
Oh.
been pulled.
Public safety?
Yes, that's been pulled.
Oh.
Committee of the whole was full too.
So good.
I remember you mentioned committee of the whole. I didn't hear about
Yes.
public safety. I probably.
Yes.
We're done.
Yes. All right, so-
We still